Well, what's up, everybody? So glad that you're jumping in on the vlog, whether you're tuning in through Lifebringers email or you're jumping in, hopefully, on the Facebook group that has just begun. We're so excited to see you. Listen, if you haven't jumped in on the Facebook, Canyon Ridge Lifebringers, you can find it through the Canyon Ridge page. We'd love to invite you to jump in and be part of the conversation. In fact, today we're going to be setting up yet another conversation where it's not just one-way comments on a vlog, but it's an interactive conversation between me and you and all of us together. In fact, at the end of September, we gathered together with a bunch of Lifebringers. A little over 100 people at different gatherings came together and just listened to God together, and it was so good to hear from one another. We just want to keep continuing that to be able to hear what God is saying amongst all of us and listen to the Spirit together. So I want to encourage you, go to Canyon Ridge Lifebringers, join the group, and join the conversation. So here's what we're going to do today. We're just going to set up a conversation. In fact, a similar conversation to what we set up at the Lifebringer gatherings at the end of September. It was awesome to hear from different people. All we did was we listened to God together. We had a great conversation, listened to one another, and people had some really insightful things to say. In fact, we use this frame from Jesus. You remember this from Matthew in the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus says, "You've heard it said, but I tell you." He did this several times, like, "You've heard it said, don't commit murder, but I tell you, don't even say in your heart that you hate your brother." He took something that was good and helpful and right and had purpose and served people really well, and then he made it bigger. He enlarged the container. He kind of widened the scope. He deepened it in the impact it would have in our lives. It was so good. And we've been thinking that's what's happening in the midst of this whole last 6 months and this season of COVID and everything else, that God has been saying, you know what, there have been things that have served us really, really well for a long time, and I'm about to give those some fresh perspective. I'm helping you see those things in a fresh light, bringing new meaning and depth to those things. And so we were talking through it. In fact, what you're going to find in the comments of this and in conversations that Ellie and I will start through the rest of the week here on the Facebook group is some of those frames, and you could even start your own. Like, for example, one that we did at our meeting was, "You've heard it said that the church is where the kingdom grows. But I tell you," and we tried to finish that with what it seems like God has been saying as we listen to God, as we listen to one another, thinking about what God has been up to, because we just want to be in on what God is up to. And it was awesome. Dina said, "You've heard it said that the church is where the kingdom grows, but I tell you that where needs are, that's where the kingdom grows." Another person said, "You've heard it said that the church is where the kingdom grows, but I tell you that my neighborhood is where the kingdom is growing." It was awesome. In fact, I can't wait for so many of you to chime in, even if you're in some of those groups. Not every group got to hear you, and not everybody was there the same night. We would love to hear what you have been hearing from God in these frames. Another one is, you've heard it said that teaching is how you learn. And teaching is so helpful. We've all been helped by teaching. And yet it seems like we've had to find other ways to learn that have been really good in this season. And so you've heard it said that teaching is how you learn, but I tell you, how would you finish that? If Jesus were saying that, based on what you're seeing and hearing, based on the scripture, your experience, and the believers that you spend time talking with, how would you finish that? These are helpful conversations. The more we listen to God and the more we listen to one another, and the more we line that up with what God has said in the Bible, the more clear we can be about what God is up to right now. He's always up to something, and we just want in on it. So I want to invite all of you. There will be more frames, and you could even start your own. You've heard it said this, but I tell you, and just ask people, what's God seem to be saying now? We could have some great conversations. We could shape some great prayer times. In fact, not just here on the Facebook page, I encourage you, take this simple tool, these 5 or 6 frames, and just hand them, along with the way I've kind of set this up to you, to your life group, to your family, to a couple of friends, and just investigate, explore, listen for what God is up to in our lives, in the lives of our group, in the life of our church. I can't wait to hear what you are hearing so we can all listen together. I'll see you on the vlog. I'll see you on Facebook, and I hope to see you on a weekend soon. See you later.